an alternative, an idea to think outside of the box of what is traditionally thought of. That if someone has an infraction of a municipal ordinance, you give them a fine and then you throw them in jail. We say that many people are law-abiding, hardworking, well-intentioned folks and just simply don't have the money to pay these fines and fees that are applied to them unjustly, and that we should consider that in how we operate. And one of the suggestions we have is an alternative to that is not just giving them community services, because most often they are not given the opportunity to even do community service. But what we're looking at is a situation, a system called time banking. Time banking is a network of people who have talents and they use their time and they share it among themselves, where you can get services provided for yourself in a non-monetized way. And we suggest that time banking can be used in the municipal court system so that when people are not able to pay the fines and fees that are associated with the ordinance that they break, that they can use time banking to share their time and talents with their community, enrich the community, and avoid being penalized and jailed and being put in a prison for not having enough money. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Amir Brandy, and I work for Smith & Associates, a law office here in the city of St. Louis. And often we find ourselves in trial, picking juries. And during the course of that, most of the people of color choose not to serve. And I'm going to say how important that is. It's very important that you take advantage of the opportunity to sit on that jury. If you don't sit on that jury, you may be innocent, and you may find yourself in a situation where you're being judged by some of the people that you find on social media. If you read the posts that maybe KMOX or Fox put on social media, read the posts and wonder where these people are. This is what we're dealing with, and we have to find a way to address the sequestering of jurors. We need to know what that process is, and can we better that process? Because you don't have to be guilty to be found guilty when you're dealing with an environment such as that has been presented to us. Thank you.
First, Commissioner T.R. Carr.
Thank you, Scarcity. There will be a test when I'm finished. Now, what I wanted to do this evening is to present the context in which municipal governments operate. We have a lot of frustration with the court system. We have a lot of frustration with the government in the greater St. Louis metropolitan area. And so I want to just kind of present the context and the background of where we are. St. Louis is one in which we have 90 municipalities. 70 of these have populations less than 10,000. We're very decentralized. The state of Missouri is very decentralized. Some would say fragmented. 2/3 of our population live in municipalities. 1/3 of the population in St. Louis County lives in an unincorporated area, which is served primarily by St. Louis County. Our population has been stable at 1 million people for 35 years, so the county has not grown in population. So we have a fairly stable population base. We have not grown as there's been continuous out-migration from the city of St. Louis to St. Louis County, and then from St. Louis County out to St. Charles County and to other counties. It's important to note the little box at the bottom that in 1876 the city of St. Louis froze its city limits, and they were they're not, and they have not been a part of St. Louis County since 1876. They did so because they did not want to provide services to the people that were living farther out in the then very rural areas of the region. So that had some real impacts on us. And the biggest impact is reflected in this particular map. This map reflects all of the municipalities in St. Louis County. The areas that are in kind of a light tan are the unincorporated areas of St. Louis County. Everything else reflects a municipality. One thing I would point out, you see the city of St. Louis on the right in white, and you look on the far left, you see a large green area, that is Wildwood. Wildwood has a population of around, a little less than 50,000, I guess. City of St. Louis has a population of some 350 some odd thousand. Notice the same geographic size. So we have a very significant decentralization, and we have a very scattered population base. Not only do we have all of these municipalities, we have 26 school districts serving St. Louis County. My classes, I point out, we have more governments in the St. Louis region than nations at the UN. And so is it any wonder we have some issues with coordination and control? Think about the issues at the UN and think about our county. One thing I would also note is most of these suburbs were incorporated back in the 1800s. Many of them were to provide basic services to the residents because they lived in a very rural county, and it was necessary to incorporate to provide some very basic services: water, streets, police, fire, etc. These municipalities can be disincorporated by a vote of the residents of those cities. So one of the issues, we've had numerous reports saying that there are too many municipalities in the St. Louis region. One of the issues that we have to face is that these were created historically, and they can only be disincorporated by a vote of the residents of those cities. So any effort to change the structure involves convincing the people to really disincorporate. And that's happened for a couple of small areas in the region in the past. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. Cooperation. This is an issue for us, and we have 3 spheres of cooperation, and one of the goals is to try and secure a higher level of cooperation between the municipalities and the county and the region. Now notice these spheres kind of reflect the areas of control. So you find on the right the municipalities with their sphere of control, and they overlap a little bit with the county and with the region. St. Louis City and St. Louis County try and cooperate. The municipalities seek to cooperate with the county, then there's regional. The intersect is really fairly small in the very center. So one of the goals, one of the issues for us is to find a mechanism to increase that intersect, to increase cooperation. And we're identifying all kinds of problems. Next slide. I titled this camaraderie. One thing I should say is that this presentation was presented in one of my classes at the university by somebody from the Municipal League, so I can't claim credit for it, but it's really, really good, and I think it gets at the heart of what we're trying to do. One thing to understand is that the cities meet and regularly they operate listservs. City managers meet on both sides of the river. The St. Louis Area City Managers Association, Southwest Illinois City Managers Association, the City Clerks and Finance Officers Association meet, police chiefs, fire chief meet, attorneys, recreation directors, planners, all these people meet. One thing for us to understand, I've been hearing people saying, well, what is going to be the purpose? What's going to be the outcome of the Ferguson Commission? One thing to understand is that at these meetings, these individuals are hearing what we have to say. And the public comment that we're receiving has a real impact on what's going on. Now, they're not going to come out and say, oh, we're changing because of the Ferguson Commission. But their dialogue, I cannot tell you the number of contacts I've had in the last week about the issue of municipal cooperation, about municipal courts. These individuals, these municipalities are very concerned just as much as the residents here in our city meeting. So, cooperation is there. We call it camaraderie, but it really is a desire to cooperate. The next slide. This is the rub. We've talked about finances, municipalities. Tax sharing by municipalities in St. Louis County. I defy anybody in this room to understand how taxes are generated and shared in St. Louis County. Sales tax is required by state law. It's called a pool. It's not a swimming pool. It's a pool of money. That money is generated in municipalities with large shopping areas, and then it is shared with other municipalities and with